Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and I'm really excited to have you here for another video. Now, before we move on to today's content, there's a few housekeeping items that we need to go over, so let's take a look at what some of those are. I have been getting messages from people all over the world about different opportunities. While I'm very excited to get your message about the opportunity, the best way you can get in contact with me is by clicking the link in the description. In the description below, you'll find a link for an opportunity discussion where you can book time on my calendar. When you click that link, it'll take you directly to my calendar. You'll have the most up-to-date information. You'll be able to put in your name, email, preferred method of contact, and a little short summary about what opportunity you have. After confirming and submitting, you'll receive a calendar invite where you and I can both talk. And during this time, you can go ahead and tell me all about your opportunity, and hopefully it's a good fit. So make sure you click the link in the description, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. With all the housekeeping items out of the way, let's get into today's content. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Really excited to see everyone back for another episode. Recently, I did a video where I was showing you all how to upgrade the hard drive in your computer, specifically a regular spinning hard drive, and upgrading that to a solid state drive. And this was done specifically on a Windows computer that happened to be from HP. If you missed that video and have no clue what I'm talking about, there'll be a link in the description where you can click on and follow that video so that way you can see what we're talking about. I'll also put a link to the video up here on the screen. But the idea of it is it takes you step by step on how to upgrade your computer. In that case, it was an HP computer that was running Windows 10. Specifically, how you upgrade the computer's hard drive in order to get the high performance that you see in that video. And trust me when I tell you this, it was a huge performance increase. Go check out the video and see exactly what I'm talking about. When you're done with that video, come on back and make sure you finish the rest of this video. So now that we're all caught up on everything that I was just talking about, the next step in the process is to create a Windows image media. In the last video, we were specifically working with an HP, but unfortunately, we don't have that computer anymore because it's in the hands of a happy customer. For the next couple of steps, we're gonna actually use a Dell laptop from another customer who wanted me to work on their computer. And this time, all the steps that we're gonna do is gonna be on that specific Dell. But keep in mind, the process and the procedure still stays the same from manufacturer to manufacturer. There are 2 little steps that are different, but I'll call those out when those happen. So here's the machine that we're actually going to use for this demo. So that Dell Latitude 3520 that I just showed you is running Windows 10 from the factory. So I'm going to show you guys now the process of how you go ahead and create a Windows 10 installation media. By creating this Windows 10 installation media, you are one step closer to recovering the computer. And especially in the case where you happen to remove your hard drive and you upgrade it, you now need to install the operating system in order to get to specifically Windows in this case. The other benefit, like I mentioned previously with this route, is you're just installing Windows and everything that the computer needs. You're not installing any of the bloatware or any garbages that manufacturers typically bake into their computers. Before we go ahead and jump into creating our Windows 10 installation media, there's a couple things that I need from you. First things first, make sure you go ahead and give me a like for the video. It helps the channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so that way you don't miss out whenever we upload new content to the channel. Lastly, don't forget to share the video with a family member or friend. So with all those items out of the way, let's jump to the desktop and let's walk you through on how you create your own Windows 10 installation media. Welcome to the desktop, where I'm going to show you step by step on how to create a Windows installation media. And specifically, we're going to work with Windows 10. If you think that I should actually do a Windows 11 version of this video, go ahead and leave me a comment in the comment section below. And if enough people are interested, we'll go ahead and make that video as well. So first thing we want to do is we want to launch our web browser. And specifically, let's head over to Microsoft.com/en-us/software-downloads/Windows 10. I know that sounds like a lot, but I'll put it up on the screen so that way you can see it in the browser. And let's head over there to get you to the right page. So here we are on Microsoft page in order to be able to download and create our Windows 10 installation media. One thing that I do want to point out, make sure you have the right URL. So as you can see here, that's the URL that you're going to need in order to navigate to this page. And if we scroll down a little bit here, we're specifically interested in the section that says Create Windows 10 Media Installation. Now they also give us some nice instructions here. Let's go through what some of those instructions are so that way we can make sure we make the installation media without any hiccups. So of course, because it's Windows, you got to make sure that you have your license. Now in the particular laptop that I'm going to use, and I showed it earlier on, was the Dell Latitude 3520. The product key is actually built into the hardware, so I don't need to type anything, which is really, really cool. Now before we download the media creation tool, Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the instructions first to make sure we have everything we need. We have a Dell Latitude 3520 that we need to recover, right? So meaning we don't have Windows on there, but we need to recover it. So we're going to need another computer in order to create the installation media. So that is something very, very important. So I am using another computer here. So we're going to go on the second option here that says using the tool to create an installation media to install Windows 10 on a different PC. So let's go ahead and open that up. So as you see here, there's a bunch of steps that we need to follow in order to create the Windows 10 installation media. So let's go over what some of those steps are. First, we need to have an active internet connection. And of course, you need an active internet connection just to even get to Microsoft's page. So obviously the first one is checked. Now the second one is very important, and you need to have sufficient data storage available on the computer that you're going to be using to create the installation media. You want to make sure that you have enough in order to download the tool, but not just have enough to download the tool, but also enough space to make sure that the tool can download any other additional data that it needs in order to create that installation media. So up on my screen here is actually the space that's available to me on my computer, and specifically on the C hard drive, which is where I'm going to download the tool and actually run the tool. And as you can see, I have 727 gigs in order to run this tool. So the next step says that we need to have a blank USB flash drive of at least 8 gigs of space, or a blank DVD and a DVD burner if you want to create the media. Honestly, not a lot of people use DVDs or DVD burners nowadays, and typically most computers that you buy don't even come with a DVD burner anymore. Seems to be a thing in the past. So my recommendation would be go pick up a flash drive of at least 8 gigs or more in order to create your installation media. Now, if you don't have a USB flash drive, I'll put a link in the description so that way you can purchase one, but they're very, very inexpensive nowadays. So go ahead and pick one up and make sure we're ready for the next step. So the next step says when we're burning a DVD from an ISO file, if you are told the disk image is too large, you will need to use a dual layered disk. Now this step here, we can skip because we're using a USB flash drive. So a DVD does not pertain to us. So let's go ahead and skip that. So on to the next step is to check on a few things for our PC where we want to install the Windows 10 on. So the first step is saying, hey, do you have a 64-bit or a 32-bit processor, or commonly known as a CPU? And you'll have to either create a 64-bit or a 32-bit based on what type of machine that you have. More likely than not, you have a 64-bit processor, as in most processors nowadays are 64-bit, and 32-bit is really an old architecture. In our particular case, we have a 64-bit processor, and we know that because we can pull up the specs off of the Dell Latitude 3520. If you're really unsure as to which architecture your computer has, the best way to find out is to go to the manufacturer's website, go under their support tab, and go ahead and type in your model to find the manuals for your particular machine. And in the manual, it'll tell you directly whether it's a 32 or a 64-bit architecture. Now, the next step is to review the system requirements and make sure that your computer is capable of running Windows 10. Now, honestly, for our case, the Dell laptop that I'm using in order to get the job done, it already comes from the manufacturer with Windows 10. So you already know it's supported, and there's not much work you need to do with this particular step. Next step says the language in Windows. Here in the United States, of course, we speak English. So we are going to choose English, so we can obviously skip this step. Now, the next step talks about edition of Windows, and you have to make sure you know which edition of Windows that you need. Now, one of the things I'm going to point out to you during the installation, and again, we're going to cover that in another video, is the software is actually smart enough to see which installation that you had prior, especially if it was a machine that's running Windows 10. But if you have a machine that didn't have Windows 10 and you're trying to upgrade to Windows 10, when you bought your license, it comes with a key. That key will then automatically determine which Windows edition that you bought and you're entitled to. So really, this step is not a lot of work, and we can actually skip this. And finally, we go to the last point here where it talks about Microsoft Office products. Now, this point is basically just telling you that you need to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row when it comes to software. So what do I mean by this? If you are in our case where you don't have an operating system installed, this obviously doesn't apply to you because you don't have to worry about any software that was previously installed on the computer. Now, if you fall into the camp where you are upgrading a computer, you want to make sure that you take down the product keys of the softwares that you have because in case you need to reinstall that software and you're having issues, you can always do a clean install on the software. Now, with all those little checks done, let's head over into downloading the tool and actually walking through the steps of how to create that media. So first thing that we do, let's scroll all the way to the top and let's click on download now. So I'm going to save this now in my downloads directory. You can save it wherever you need to, but I recommend the downloads directory. So let's go ahead and click save. And as you can see, it finished downloading the Windows 10 media creation tool. So let's go ahead and navigate to the downloads directory where we downloaded the tool. So here we are in my downloads directory where we have the media creation tool, specifically for Windows 10. Now, the one thing that I want to emphasize here is that you need to be an administrator in order to run this application. So let's go ahead and run it as administrator. And if you're not, you need those permissions in order to make sure that you can create the media tool. So I'm going to right click and hit run as administrator. So here's what the tool looks like. And it does say we're getting a few things ready. So let's give this a minute. All right, so it looks like we have a little bit of licensing in order to agree to. So let's go ahead and hit accept. Now the tool is going to ask you, what do you want to do? And you could either upgrade or you can create the installation media. So of course, we're going to go ahead and click create installation media. Now the software is basically asking you what language do you want to use. So of course, we're going to have English, we're going to have Windows 10, and what the architecture is. Now it's taking the recommendations from this PC. But in case you're unsure of whether your old computer runs a 32-bit architecture or a 64-bit architecture, we're actually going to play it on the safe side and go ahead and uncheck use recommended options from this PC. And under the architecture dropdown, we're going to make sure that we click both to include both 32-bit and 64-bit just in case you need either or. So let's go ahead and click next. Now next, it's going to ask you whether you want to do a USB flash drive or an ISO file. So let's go ahead and make sure that we click on the USB flash drive. And now is the opportunity to plug in your flash drive to the computer. So here in my hand is a flash drive that I have, and I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. So if you haven't plugged yours in just yet, go ahead and plug yours in now so that way the tool can recognize the flash drive. So now that my flash drive is plugged into my computer, let's go ahead and make sure that USB flash drive is clicked. And we go ahead and click next. So here's a list of the removable media that's available to me. And just so that we're all on the same page, drive D is a SD card that I have. And of course, we don't want to use that. So I'm going to go ahead and use drive E because drive E is my flash drive and it currently has Linux on there. But we're going to replace it with this Windows 10 installation media. So let's go ahead and click drive E, click next. And now the tool is going to download all the packages it needs from the internet, and it's going to go ahead and create that installation media for you. Now keep in mind, during this step, it's actually going to erase or format that flash drive. So hopefully you're not using a flash drive with important information on it. And if you do, you want to make sure that you back that up first before you delete anything. So let's go ahead and wait for this tool to finish, and we'll pick up after it's done. Now that we see that the software is done writing to the USB, and it gives us a message here saying that our USB flash drive is ready for use. So we can go ahead and click finish on that. And just like that, our Windows 10 installation media is ready. If we go into our USB, we can actually see that it has all the files that it needs in order to install Windows 10. So we are all done creating our Windows 10 installation media. And now we can go ahead and use this USB flash drive in order to install Windows 10 on our PC. So don't forget to stay tuned on the next video on how we use our Windows installation media in order to install Windows 10. So welcome back. By now, you should have all the information needed in order to create a Windows 10 installation media. Now remember, you are one step closer to recovering your computer, specifically your Windows 10 computer. Might I add that you are only recovering the operating system and the software that is needed in order for the operating system to communicate with all the hardware that you have in your computer. None of the bloatware and none of the garbage that manufacturers force on you. Now that we've gotten this far, you're ready now to go ahead and install the operating system on the computer. Stay tuned for the next video. And the next video on this journey is to go ahead and take that installation media that we just created and use that in order to recover our PC back to factory default. So keep in mind that you'll find a link in the description for that new video when it comes out. If it's a TBD or it's not there, don't get discouraged. We're working hard to get that video. And I'll also link it somewhere up here on the screen. So if you don't see the link on the screen or if you don't see it in the description, just know we're working hard to get that video out as soon as possible. So again, guys, it's really great to have you back on the channel and have you for another video. On your way out, don't forget to give me a like. Don't forget to share the video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a video whenever we post to our channel. So go ahead and make your installation media, and I'll see you guys on the next video.